What's up, weirdos, and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. I put out new videos every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, and right now I'm covering the entire Scream franchise. So if you haven't seen it yet, I did a ranking video that has a bunch of fun facts in it, and then of course I have the review of Scream 1. I'll link both of those down below. But today, we're talking about Scream 2, which came out in 1997, which is an insane turnaround time because, you know, the first one came out in 1996. But turns out the second one was greenlighted while Scream 1 was still in theaters. As I've said previously, this series is full of spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movies, there's just nothing I can do to save you. So Scream 2 starts off in a movie theater, and we find out that they have turned the tragic murders in Woodsboro into a blockbuster. Classic. The new movie is called Stabbed, and all the teenagers in the audience are wearing Scream masks. They have glow-in-the-dark knives. They're throwing popcorn. It's very like Rocky Horror Picture Show, but like at a horror movie. Honestly, I kind of wish I was there. It's pretty cool. And then we even get to see a little bit of Stabbed. So they have some fun with the Casey Becker murder. You know, they have her making popcorn, as was in Scream 1, but she's also taking a shower because it's a horror movie and we have to have naked ladies, apparently. This whole sequence is basically there to tell us that there are some new murders in town, and they are more than happy to kill in public and very ironic places. Honestly, the only issue I have with this opening sequence is that Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps are just not watching the movie. They leave so often while the movie is literally going, and I'm just like, hello, movie theater sin. You pee beforehand, you get your popcorn beforehand, and you know, that's why they give you 15 minutes of previews. Anyways, don't leave the theater if you don't want to get murdered. Also, one last thing about this sequence, I always think when Jada Pinkett Smith is dying in front of the movie screen, everyone's watching her die, everyone's like, what? And then there's like a moment of silence. I always think the crowd's gonna start applauding like it's like a marketing tool or something, but they don't. I wish they did. If I directed this movie, if I was Wes Craven, that's what I would do. P.S. Sydney's in college now. Good job, girl. She's got some new friends. She's got a new boyfriend who I sort of hate. He's very bland. And pretty early on, they start giving us the commentary on being a horror movie from within a horror movie that we love so much by saying, you know, sequels suck, which, you know, sometimes they really, really do. And they give us the rules of the sequel, which I will read from my computer now because I did not memorize it. 1, the death toll is always greater. 2, the murder scenes are always much more elaborate. And 3, never, ever, under any circumstance, assume the killer is dead. Yeah, it's pretty good list. And then also in Scream 2, we get some horror movie queens up in here. So excited to have them. The first one I'm going to talk about, of course, is my Lord and Savior, Sarah Michelle Gellar. So 1997 was a crazy year for her. So basically, she's obviously shooting Buffy, my favorite show of all time. She puts out Scream 2, and she also puts out I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is also a Kevin Williamson script. Just insane. Girl, how did you live all my dreams in 1 year? I don't know. And then for our second one, we have Rebecca Gayheart, who you will also recognize from Urban Legend. I have less exciting things to say about her, but she's great, I swear. So towards the end of the film, we find out that this is a revenge story, classic, and it's about a mother's revenge story. It very much mirrors the first Friday the 13th with Mrs. Voorhees, and basically Billy Loomis, who was killed in the first one, he was also the killer, also killed, blah blah. His mom, played by Laurie Metcalf, oh my god. She is like one of my favorite actors of all time. She's so good in movies. I've seen her in a bunch of theater stuff. She's so good. I would literally watch a short film of her eating cereal and just be fascinated. But anyway, she disguises herself as Debbie Salt, a nice, casual, enthusiastic young reporter. But really, she's Billy Loomis's mother, and she wants to kill Sydney because, you know, Sydney killed her son, which, you know, I get it. Alright, let's go ahead and get some ratings, and then I will tell you all my favorite scenes. So the scare, same as Scream 1, it gets a 3. I think this movie is a perfect balance of scary and funny, and so there's not so much horror that I'm like, oh my god, I can't take it. I'm more like, oh my god, that's amazing. The gore in this one also gets a 4. Very similar ratings to the first movie, differing in a second, but the gore gets a 4. The kills in this movie are really good. And then the cheese. This is a little brutal of me, but I'm giving the cheese in this one a 4 for one particular scene that movie will never live down and will just never get out of my head because it just bothers me so much. But I'll get to that in a second. So, the overall rating for this movie, gets a 4. So, not quite the 5 that the first Scream gets, but it's a pretty amazing sequel. I really, really like it. There's very little about it I don't like. Now, let's get to some good stuff. So, my favorite death scene is strange because it is a death scene of a character I really don't care about, and that is Officer Richards. But basically, he's on the front of this police car that the killer is driving, and then they run into this thing, and the pole goes right through the back of his head, and it is gruesome. Like, it's probably the most brutal murder of the Scream series that we had seen thus far, and like, very realistic. Very scary. And now for the dumbest scene, which really bothers me, is always stuck in my head. I'm just like, why would they do this? Why would they do this? And that is when Sydney's boyfriend, who I really don't like very much, he's like super boring, he sings to her in the cafeteria while wearing a tucked-in polo, and he sings this stupid song to her a cappella, and everyone's like with it, and they're clapping, and they love it, and they love it, and then I'm waiting for Sydney to be like, whoa, stop, this is like so weird, but instead she just is like, and then she like wraps her arms around him and kisses him, and I'm just like, that is so not Sydney. Like, oh, just really bothers me for some reason. Like, literally I turned to my boyfriend and I was like, if you ever do that to me, you're fired, because that is so embarrassing and weird. And now I'm going to give you my random favorite character. So my random favorite character in this movie is the new camera guy. So he's a great character because he comes in with no knowledge of anything that's going on about the Woodsboro murders. He's just there to work for Gail Weathers. And then of course he reads her book, finds out that her last camera guy's throat got slit, and was like, whoa, I don't know if I should be here. But he sticks around for a while. He's a really fun character. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Sydney's outfits in this movie because they are 90s gold and just so cute. And then of course I had to give you my favorite line from this movie, which comes from Sydney herself, and she says, "You're forgetting one thing about Billy Loomis. I fucking killed him." And then it shoots, and it's so cool, it's badass, I love it. And now I'm gonna say my most relieving moment, which is just a new category. I'm just really making up categories, and that is when Dewey walks out and you realize that he didn't die, and it's so beautiful because you know he's just a good man, and I'm so happy he didn't die. Also, while we're on Dewey, I'm just gonna say this too, don't forget that in the first Scream movie, 1996, is when Courtney Cox and David Arquette met. 97, Scream 2, they start dating, and then by Scream 3, they were married. Horror just bringing people together. And that's it, guys. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. If you want some more ways to hang out with me, just scroll to the description box and you will find many. And I will see you in the next one. Have a nice Scream. Bye.